homeschoolers, it's me Jazz again from Hidden Library Homeschool, and I'm back with another curriculum video. In this video I'm going to show you what we've been doing this summer. So my oldest Tony just turned 8 and he'll be doing 3rd grade next year, and then my middle son Clark is 5 and he'll be going into kindergarten next year. This summer, in the beginning of the summer, I had lots of different ideas of things I wanted to sign them up for outside of the home, things I wanted us to do at home. And I'm now glad that I didn't overplan us and didn't have too many activities and things for the kids to do, because as you know, life always gets in the way, and there's just no way now that we would have been able to get everything done that I wanted us to do. So I've tried to keep it pretty simple this summer and give the kids each one activity outside of the home, and also just keep it more to math and reading over the summer. At the beginning of every school year, I do buy this book, What Your Whatever Grade Needs to Know, and this is a 2nd grade version. I use this book during the school year as kind of a reference, see what other kids at this age are learning. But more than anything, I use this book as my emergency plan. This is the book that if for some reason we had to leave the house and have to do school outside of the home for, natural disaster, some crazy thing out of the normal were to happen, I could take this book with pencil and paper and we can do school outside of the home. I do over the summer look through the language arts section, and there's lots of stories and poems and things. So if there's anything in here that looks interesting that we need to go through, then we will do that. I also look through the history section, and the same thing. If there's anything that we haven't covered that he needs to know now, then we will go over that. If it's something that we're going to be getting into next year, then I don't worry about it too much. I don't really worry about too terribly much of this book, especially the math section in the back. I'm pretty confident with our math program that he's learning what he needs to know. But like I said, if we were to take this book for an emergency, then it's nice to have everything in here, and we would use it in those circumstances. But in the summer, I don't really use this at all. And then in the science section, same thing. If there's something that we haven't gone through, then I look through it, but I don't worry about it too much, because I know that our science program, especially the one that we're going to start using next year, covers things pretty well, and I don't think that we need to really go through this. But it is nice to have as a reference and have this on hand just in case. At the beginning of the summer, I was looking for some sort of summer workbook for him to keep up with math and language arts, and I saw lots of books from maybe $7 all the way up to $25 or so. And I'm glad I didn't buy any of those, because then I saw this at the Dollar Tree earlier this summer, and I bought him Breakfast Bites for Your Brain, and this is a 2nd grade book. They have pre-K, kindergarten, and 2nd grade. I kind of wish it went up a little bit more for 3rd grade, because I do like that everything is just on one page, and it seems like just enough work for them to do over the summer, keep things fresh in their mind, but not bog them down too much with work. Since they are supposed to be having, fun and playing around and having a little bit more time to themselves than they do have during the school year. I also have him doing Exploring Animals, and this is a pretty thick book. I took out the answers section in the back, but there's lots of animals in this book. He is just picking out one animal a day, and he is reading the 2 paragraphs or so on it and answering the questions. In the back of the book, there are some science concepts, like the parts of the animal, life cycles of the animal, classification, and things like that. There's absolutely no way that we're going to finish this book over the summer, but it's nice that it has lots of different animals, and he can pick whatever he finds interesting. And then if he wants to do more research, he can, but I'm not expecting him to do that. We have a couple of things that we need to finish. It seems like we never really got back on our feet from moving over in the beginning of the school year, so it seems like we were kind of always just a little bit behind. So we do have this book to finish, Medieval Projects You Can Build Yourself, and we're just reading through this. We're not really doing too many of the projects. If he wants to do a project, then we can, but more than anything, we are just reading. And then when it comes to sections like this, I have a sticky note here. We read a little bit about Robin Hood, and then I had a note that Story Nori has some Robin Hood stories, and we listened to those on the computer. He's been asking a lot about presidents and how to become president and things like that, how that happens and what they do and what their job is. So I have this book for him, If I Ran for President. So we'll probably be reading this later on in the week. And then if he wants to know a little bit more about this, there are, this one is pretty short and lots of pictures. But if he wants to know a little bit more about that, I do have Where is the White House? I'm not expecting him to read this. This is more if he wants to learn more about it, then he can look through this book. He can read it if he wants to. about the White House and some of the presidents who live there, he can have this, but I'm not going to assign this to him. I was looking, and I showed in a different haul a Gutenberg book that wasn't going to work too much for us. So when we get to Gutenberg in that medieval book, I have instead from Graphic Library, Gutenberg, and the printing press. And I'm hoping he likes this format because I have like 6 of these or so in our curriculum for next year. But it's in the comic book format, and there's a surprising amount of information for a comic book. So we'll see if he likes this for when we get to this section. We do have some math to finish up this summer. After moving in, we kind of got a little bit behind and then ended up doing CTC math on the computer, which I do love and I do know that he's learning from and he's doing well with, but I did want to finish up Right Start Math. So we'll be working on this summer, trying to finish this up so that we can move on to the next one over in 3rd grade. If we don't finish it, then of course we can just, keep going in 3rd grade, but I do want to try to get as much as we can done this summer. But more than anything, he is reading. I have lots of books going on for him this summer. He is reading to me, he's reading, silent reading to himself, and he's also reading to his little brother. So to Clark, he has been reading the Zoe and Sassafras books. They've really enjoyed these so far. They've gotten through the first book, Zoe and Sassafras, Dragons and Marshmallows, and they've gotten through the second book, Zoe and Sassafras, Monsters and Mold. And they like the illustrations in here. They're simple, black and white, but they like to having those, and especially my 5-year-old likes having something to look at while his older brother is reading to him. It's funny though, the first time that he was reading this to his brother, Tony tells Clark, why are you laying down? You're not listening. And I just start laughing. He's like, what's so funny? I'm like, I say the same thing to you all the time. I want to make sure that you're listening. And he's like, well, he's laying down. It doesn't look like he's listening. And I asked Clark, are you listening? Do you know what's going on? And he did. So it was just funny hearing him, thinking the same thing. Well, if you're not, sitting up and doing that, you might not be listening. But I told him, as long as he's getting the story, then I don't care whatever position that he's in. They still have to get through Zoe and Sassafras, Mer Horses and Bubbles. This is the 3rd book, and they'll be starting this book this week. So it is kind of magical creatures, but but the girl is using science in the book too. But it is at probably a 2nd grade reading level, which is perfect for a read aloud for Tony, but also perfect for Clark for listening to. And it's taken them about 2 weeks to get through this book. It wouldn't take Tony this long to get through the book on his own, but since he's reading to a 5-year-old with, not as long attention span, it is taking them a little bit longer, so they're only doing about 2 chapters or so a day. When they finish that series, they'll be moving on to Animal Planet Adventures, and I have the first book, Dolphin Rescue, and the second book, Farm Friends Escape. And this book is only about half as long as it looks because it does have a story within it, but you also have sections where it's telling about those animals, colorful pictures, little snippets of information all about the environment, the animals, and things like that. So you might have on a page part of the story, but also a little bit about the animals in that environment. He's been reading aloud to me some of these Horrible Harry books. So far he's gotten through Ant Invasion, Purple People, and these books I have a couple of different readers that he can just pick from at the beginning of the week, and I said, which book do you want to read to me now? As I don't want to force him to read something that he doesn't want to, since he has all of these other books to get through, but I do want him reading aloud. So he's also done Green Slime and the Kickball Wedding. We have for him to pick through the rest of the summer, Horrible Harry and the Dungeon. He has Song Lee and Room 2B. And then from the Stepping Stones books, which he hasn't picked any of these to read to me yet, Gulliver's Travels, Mysteries of Sherlock Holmes, and also Phantom of the Opera. So as long as he's reading, I don't really care which one of those books he reads to me, as long as he is reading aloud. For silent reading, he finished up Treasure of Illustrated Classics, Black Beauty, and he did not like this book. We've done other books in this that have been adapted in this series, and we've done throughout the school year, I think, Wizard of Oz, Peter Pan, and some other books, and he liked those a lot better. I think the only reason he doesn't like this one is because it's about a horse from a horse perspective, but we're done with it, and he'll be moving on to The Wind in the Willows this week. For silent reading, for just on his own at night, he has been reading King Kong. He asked me for this book a while ago, and I bought it for him, and then he's asked me for more books, and I told him, well, you know, you need to get through some of the books I already got you before I buy you some more. So he's been working on this book so that he can get more of his Timmy Failure books and Diary of a Wimpy Kid books when he finishes that one. We do have a couple of things that we still need to get through, a couple of reading books that we didn't get through this school year. I finished reading to him The Ordinary Princess, and he really liked this book. It's a kind of a different story tale about a princess who is told from her fairy godmother that she's going to be ordinary, and it goes over her life after it's not really cursed, but after she's told she's going to be ordinary. He did like this book and asked me if there was more in the series, but it's only one book, so there is no series or continuation, but I am glad to know that he did like it. We still have to get through either on audiobook or me reading aloud The Door in the Wall, and then also The Boxcar Children we didn't get through this school year. I have, just for fun, him to read The Dragon Sitter, and this book is, this little boy is given a dragon by his uncle with no instructions, and, you know, basically everything's getting burned down. His mom's mad about it. It's a funny little book. If he wants to read it, he can. He thought it sounded good, so I'm going to give this to him to read too. His little brother Clark is wanting to do school since Tony is doing some things. I don't think that Clark is ready for school right now. I would be perfectly fine waiting with him, but since he sees his brother doing things, he wants to do things. So he's been working on Curious George Learning Adventures, and this is the pre-K book. He really likes this book. I honestly don't know that he's getting too much out of it, just because I don't think he's ready for school right now, but he likes hearing at first the story in here, and then there's also letters that they're learning in here, and then he's writing them. There's some things for them to circle and, you know, find the opposite of things. So when we get to one of the sections where it has the letters, we are then going and reading about that letter. In this book here, Curious George Learns the Alphabet. So this has 2-page spread of the capital, a little bit about it, what it looks like, and then the lowercase. So he's liking doing that. So, losing my bookmark. So that's basically what we're doing this summer. We're pretty much just reading. My sons all have Ninja. They're doing Ninja Zone, but right now they're all at an age where none of them can be in the same class. So I'm there, 3 hours a week, which is enough to be, waiting around with one kid's in there and the other two are out on, on the bleachers and just waiting for that. So they are doing Ninja Zone and they are all enjoying that. I was going to have them do some more classes at the library and also at the college, but I couldn't fit them in because I was at Ninja Zone already so often. I couldn't work around it, but I'm glad now that I didn't overbook ourselves. My son Tony is doing one more thing at the library. He is taking, they're doing science projects. I'm not sure even what the class is called, I forgot. But they're doing science projects and also game shows, just an hour of kids getting together and, working together. So he's having a lot of fun with that. More than anything, I am just reading. I'm trying to pre-read all of my books for next year. I've gotten through all of my literature books. I have a couple more history books to get through, so hopefully I'll be able to get some of those videos out soon, especially since I've gotten the last thing that I ordered. The last book just came in yesterday, one of my grammar books, so hopefully I'll be able to get more of my curriculum videos for the 2017-2018 school year done soon. So thanks for checking this video out from Hidden Library Homeschool. Please like, comment, and subscribe below. Bye!